it feels like he's sticking it to the 76ers. When that trade potentially became public about James Harden for the likes of Ben Simmons, that was a knock to the gut of Ben Simmons. I think he handled himself in a professional manner. Did he score the way people needed him to score or be aggressive in the playoffs? No, he did not. But I think he owned that. But I think what's happened due to him taking this kind of stand is that his trade value has gone down. Other teams are looking at it saying, oh, I can wait now, or I can offer less, right? So teams are offering, they're not the same kind of offerings that you're getting, that you got for a James Harden to a degree, right? They got a lot of trade picks. That's not what the 76ers need. Due to his history of being injured, they need to win now for JWill Embiid, right? It's not an elongated prime for him. They need to win now. So all these draft picks or younger players, that's not what the Philadelphia 76ers need. They need a star. But when you hear guys like Damian Lillard, he's set. Bradley Beal, he's set in D.C. You hear Sacramento unwilling to give up De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Halliburton, right? So now if you're the 76ers, you're saying, what do we need to do? And Ben's saying, hey, look, I'm willing to take all the suspensions, Key, all the fines. It does not matter. I am not going to play. Philly, you're not going to do anything, and you're not going to win right now until I get traded.
You know, when you look at the situation, not even a month ago, but go back to last season or toward the end of the season, you were not on the show, Max, but JWill was covering the NBA as well as on the show, and he was mentioning all the time that which one of these two would be gone. Is it going to be Ben Simmons or is it Joel Embiid? Well, Joel Embiid obviously solidified his position in Philly, and Ben Simmons did not. So therefore, he is on the move. Jay reported a week ago or a month ago that this was probably going to happen. He dug in. Now you say, well, where could he go? What makes the most sense? You got to start out west, right? You got to take a look at, there's a Portland situation where C.J. McCollum, you got that there. Can they move him there, package him up? Will Portland be willing to accept that? Is Dame Lillard willing to want to be with that, knowing that a guy can do a lot, but he can't shoot, can't, free throws, all those sort of things. Then you shift down a little bit into the Bay Area as a whole, and you look at the Golden State Warriors, who are now in San Francisco. Does that fit? Is that trading him to Golden State?
Not with Dre on the team. Instead of Dre.
Package some of that up, move it. Now you got Clay, Steph, whether Dre's there or not, Wiggins. What do you have there? What do you have there? And Golden State makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways because they've been acceptable to people that are outsiders since they've been there. They get guys, whether it was Iguodala, whether it was KD or whoever else, Wiggins, they seem to wrap their arms around those individuals, Boogie Cousins, whoever it may be.
And they play well on Golden State. Like Wiggins is a good two-way player. Now, I want to get back, Jay, to this idea that it almost feels like it looks personal from Ben Simmons to the Sixers because of something you said. He's made himself a distressed asset. Whatever his trade value was before he goes public with this kind of stuff or before this stuff gets reported, the trade value is now lower. The only reason you do that, well, number one, it makes you a little easier to trade, right? So you can get to where you want to go. But you're hurting the Sixers. So the question is, what do the Sixers do? By the way, Ben Simmons, Key, you brought it up, like Embiid or Simmons. They let Embiid's best friends on the team go, right? They did a lot of things when it was unclear who's going to be the guy, Simmons or Embiid. Well, the guy is Embiid. What do the Sixers do now in response to Simmons?
What will they do, or what would we do? What would I do?
Okay, both. What would you do, and then what are the Sixers
You
going
can't
to
do
do?
nothing but moving.
You could move me personally.
Yeah.
If you choose not to play,
Yeah.
I'm sitting on it.
Ding,
I'm
ding,
not
ding.
moving you.
That's it.
You know why? Because Adam Silver eventually will have to come in and potentially sanction it because you're violating the CBA. Now, the team is going to start with their own suspensions and fines. But if that continues to progress, Key, I am telling you right now,
would he collect
the one
his
thing
salary?
Adam Silver will not compromise is the value of the game. Because what will happen?
Wait, I have a question,
Simmons,
Jay. Would he even be able to collect his salary? He's under contract. But if he's refusing to play, does he even collect his salary?
Well, I think that's where the NBA can step in. I mean, he's going to get fined and suspended nonstop.
But like I tell you, Jay, I'll tell you again for the 1,800 millionth time. when a professional athlete says he doesn't want to play for somebody or come in or whatever the case is, eventually that organization moves you. Perfect example last year in your sport, the NBA, you covered so well, the NBA countdown, is that James Harden told them, I'm going to eat donuts and I'm going to chill. I'm going to come in, but I'm going to come in and look like the Michelin Man.
But that's the thing.
And then eventually they moved him. You don't want to have a disgruntled player you trying to coach up and play and game. You can't do it.
But James Harden came in.
Yeah, but Ben Simmons might. At the end of the day, Ben Simmons might walk through the door for a few days and then they can move him.
He might. I don't know
but
that.
He won't play for the 70s. My whole point is he will not play for the 76ers long term this year.
For the time being, if Adam Silver steps in, I think he would.
You can't. But
there could be sanctions put on you due to the CBA.
I understand
it's one
that.
thing when it goes into preseason.
You're normally right.
But you cannot force a player, Jay, as you know and I know, to go in and want to play for somebody in the organization.
That's fine.
It's a disaster.
Well, think about what kind of precedent that sets. So now if you're the commissioner of the NBA, if you're disgruntled and you don't want to be in a situation, you can force yourself out by just not playing.
Hold on, Jay. What kind of sanctions, you mentioned before, what kind of sanctions could the NBA set here?
Well, I think it's an imposed sanction where he could, look, if he wanted to be aggressive enough, he could have Ben Simmons potentially take time off from the league.
What Key's bringing up is right normally. In the NBA, a superstar will not only get traded, he will get traded to precisely the team he tells his team he's going to get traded to. Because his agent, whoever it is, Rich Paul, whoever, is going to let all the other teams know he ain't going to re-sign here. The difference here is Simmons got 4 years left.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's not that.
It does
it's
matter
not
in this particular case.
Wait a minute. It's not that it does.
does.
It's not that he still won't get traded. I believe he will still get traded, but it lowers the leverage.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.